Hey everybody, I'm Seth Jones, editor-in-chief of Landscape Management Magazine. I'm very thrilled to be doing my next episode of Landscape Management's At Home Edition Zoom interviews. My next guest is an author and a columnist specializing in growth and profit, and especially in the obviously in the green industry. His expertise comes from growing his own company to a $10 million company. He's got his start in the industry at age 7, and I'm very happy to say he's been writing for our magazine for the past 10 years. It's my pleasure to welcome Jeffrey Scott. Jeffrey, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Hey, my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you so much for pivoting and doing these kinds of interviews. I really appreciate that.
There's been a lot of pivoting going on, that's for sure. But first, the thing I like to just start off with, Jeff, is to ask you, how are things, what's life like in New Orleans? How are you guys doing down there?
Well, I appreciate you asking, really. Everyone's asking me that because New Orleans was seen as a hotspot. I don't know of anybody with COVID-19 down here. And I know that many people have been afflicted. I have a friend who's a nurse and she sees it all the time, but it's very patchwork who it's hitting, the elderly, maybe the poor. And so thank God this city is not like Chicago or New York where you're cramped in. And so it's a beautiful city to be in right now. The weather's great. So we feel safe. Thank you for asking.
That's great. It's good to know. Jeffrey, you've been busy, and I want to thank you for the how you've ramped up your production for us on landscape management. You've had a video on our website every week since the pandemic has broken out, and you've also started your own a podcast, and you have a great interview with industry legend Frank Mariani out right now that I would suggest people check out. But I guess before we get into that, let's talk about what's going on with your client base. What are you hearing from the many companies that you work with around the industry?
It's a lot like the microcosm of New Orleans. It's crazy how patchwork it really is. There is no industry standard right now. Every state is different on how it opens up. I'm on the phone yesterday with a client, and he is so busy, he is drowning in leads. And then I have clients in San Francisco, and they're shut down, and it's sad and maybe even terrifying for them. I have a client in Pennsylvania, and he's going to be up 22% this year. And then we spoke to Frank, and when you listen to the podcast, you will hear where he hopes to be, not up, down, and you'll hear by how much when you go to the podcast. So I think if you want to pick an average, that those that are being affected are really working as hard as they can to stay even, and that's their dilemma or their challenge, let's say. This expression, Seth, that all politics are local. Well, in this case, all economics are very local to your business and region and maybe even town that you're in and how it's impacting you.
That's interesting you say that. You and I talked on the phone the other day, a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the economy. The economy obviously is taking a huge hit right now. And what's your take on how the U.S. economy and what it's going through right now is going to impact our industry?
Appreciate you asking the question. I have been so tied into this, not only listening to news, but also I have a financial planner who's really tied in up high and feeding me a lot of great insight. And basically all the news we're hearing now was predicted. All the bad news, the job loss, the recession in the first quarter, the next quarter news will be worse. I want to inoculate all of us. It's all predictable. You can just see it unfolding, like, I want to say in slow motion, right? You just see it happening. And so my prediction a month ago was that we would have a V recovery, right? We'll go down, we'll go back up because the Fed has just put so much money. It's unprecedented, right? They made their mistakes in 2008. Many of the same people are still at the Fed, and so they knew we reacted too slow and we did too little. So now we're reacting faster and we're doing as much as we can. So that was my prediction a month ago. Now I see it's going to be a patchwork recovery. There won't be just one recovery. There will be some people that will be like, we didn't have a hiccup. There'll be others where it'll be this drop down and then jump back up. And then some will be this U, they call it, right? Not a V, but it's a U. It takes time. It could be elongated U or a shorter U. And so I predict it's going to be a patchwork. Now, the conservative business owner says, yeah, it's fine now, but what about next year? Will we have a double dip of some kind? Could happen. But still, it's the small business that drives our economy, right? 50 or 48% to be precise of employees in the country are employed by your readers, are small business owners. And small businesses thrive on energy, savvy, entrepreneurial spirit, right? Go, go, go. They thrive on inventing new ways to go about work, being quick on their feet. So we, meaning all the small businesses, we will drive the recovery. And so how it impacts, we can say how it'll impact the economy, but how it impacts your business, whoever's listening, that's to a great deal going to depend on all of us and you being confident, leaning into this, and just working your way through it as innovatively as you can and staying as close to your customers as you can.
Very cool. Jeff, I'll tell you right now, because we're wrapping up the new issue, I quoted you in the new issue. I love that line. The economy is up to you. I think that's a good spirit. It's a fighting spirit. Whole "we're in this together" has been a common phrase you hear, but more so, it's up to the individual at this point to really, jumpstart what's going on. I'm curious about what your thoughts are on, in terms of what the each market is doing in terms of everybody still needs their mowing. Everyone's still going to do their applications, and just because they don't want to let obviously if they're home too, or even on commercial, they don't want to let that landscape go away. But what about let's say hardscapes and doing a water feature in your backyard? Do you have any opinion on if those markets are going to be should be more nervous, or do you think it's just going to be dependent on the individual?
Right. That's definitely hardscapes projects definitely suffer when the economy softens. And I think, you really have two ways to counter that. One is it takes good sales skills. This pandemic has taught many of you out there that when you look at your sales team, you now realize which ones are the better salespeople, because they haven't really been slowed down by the pandemic or the crisis. They're able to bob and miss the tackles and reach out to clients and keep the communication going, keep the clients excited. And the lesser salespeople you see sort of stalled during this crisis. This should teach you that sales really is a profession to be respected, to be trained. Let's hire real salespeople. And if you do that, because sales is about giving permission, right? I've been spending my evenings out in my backyard that I've just got put in by an LA design build firm, and I'm loving it. And a good salesperson gives you permission to spend the money to enjoy your backyard with the hardscapes. So I think that's going to be critical, but also you've got to diversify. You've got to be prepared for the hiccups, right? It's like your own investment portfolio. Diversified, not all the eggs in one stock, in one basket with one money manager. You've got to be able to be smart about how you build up your company. It should be diversified in the same manner. And I think maybe we'll talk soon about my summer growth summit. And that summit is going to be focused all on how to diversify your company so you can increase your market share and make your company more stable.
So yeah, Jeff, I did want to ask about that, and actually I had a real simple question about it. So your Summer Growth Summit is going to be I believe, in Des Moines, Iowa in August, and it's still a green light. You plan on hosting it?
It is still a green light. We just formally announced it, put it out there with a super early bird pricing good for the next 2 weeks. If the government tells us to shut down, we'll give everybody their money back. I don't foresee that happening. I think it's going to be a great time to, go back to the new normal. Now, I'm not naive, right? We're going to be careful. And if something happens, we have the COVID guarantee, but I want to plan for success. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I think we have to keep moving forward in order to pull ourselves through this. We just have to do it smartly and safely. So, yes, it's a go. It'll be focused on a highly diversified company. And so, how to diversify, how to build a stable company with multiple divisions, and how to grow a high profitability in all different services, including design build.
Okay. Well, Jeff, hey, I won't take any more of your time today. I appreciate you calling in and joining me on a Zoom call for landscape management, or at-home edition. A lot of good information today. You guys keep doing good work and staying safe down there, okay?
Thank you very much, Seth.
This is Jeffrey Scott. You can read him on his website or on Landscape Management Magazine. Thanks for checking in with us here at Landscape Management at Home Edition.